Presenting Drones, a short science fiction adventure written by Paul M. Ford. The first hyperlight concussion wave took out the starboard manoeuvring effectors. The second flatlined the forward weapons array. The third upended the drinks cabinet, disgorging the entire contents and resulting in the demise of a particularly fine Terran whisky. The loss was at least in part recompensed by the simultaneous and shattering end of the Yorungarian crystal decanter that had contained it, whose non-Euclidean geometries had foxed every barman in the quadrant and therefore totally prevented Bertie from ever opening it. As the nanotech damage control systems began to take care of the unsightly stain on the faux Neo-Persian rug, he linked with the ship's AI. "I say, old thing, what's all the commotion?" "I have been forced to undertake high-velocity sublight evasive patterning, sir, in response to some particularly dense offensive fire from the Skerran fleet. This may have resulted in some gravitic fluctuations. I do hope you weren't too inconvenienced." Bertie paused, seemingly lost in thought for a moment. The last of the decanter fragments dissolved into the floor. "So, we're being shot at?" "Most succinctly put, sir. Oh, if you'll just excuse me for a moment." Bertie felt the AI flip away in his mind, but it was back before he could give approval for the absence. Why?" muttered Bertie, still somewhat nonplussed by the turn of events. "I'm sorry, sir. I was briefly forced to concentrate my attention on returning fire against the Skerran vanguard units. I am forced to admit that as a result, I very nearly overcooked the kedgeree. I do hope you'll forgive me." Yes, of course. But that's not what I meant. What I meant was, why are they shooting at us?" "Ah, yes. Right to the very nub of the situation as ever, sir." Bertie smiled to himself. "Well, nothing much gets past me, don't you know? Famous for it at the club." "Of course, sir." There was a pause. "Well," said Bertie. "Excuse me again, sir. I just had to jettison the aft auxiliary power units into the path of some pursuing craft. That should take care of them suitably. I am, as they say, all yours." Bertie's patience, never one of his best virtues, was beginning to fray a little. "Now look here, I'm a reasonable chap, but this really is a bit much. I simply want to know why a bunch of bally strangers are taking potshots at us. I mean, it's not as if I've broken off an engagement with their daughter or something." He stopped, and then added a little querulously, "Have I?" "No, sir. I can assure you that it is nothing like that. It is merely, as these things often are, a difference of opinion that has descended into pugilism. Duck." Bertie was about to have serious words with the AI about overstepping the mark on informality when the internal effectors pushed him to the deck, and a plasma bolt passed through several bulkheads and the space where Bertie's head had been but moments before. The acrid smell of seared polymer substrates replaced the faded tang of scotch as the holes quickly sealed themselves. The lights dimmed. "May I assist you in rising, sir?" "Is it safe?" "Oh, yes, sir." Bertie scrambled to his feet, peering at the fading burn marks on the wall. "Of course, safe is a relative term, considering we are presently surrounded by the Skerran fleet." "Ah!" exclaimed Bertie, and dived under the grand piano. Can't we come to some arrangement with these, Skerran chaps?" "There might be some difficulty there, sir. The Skerran are of the belief that we, as a culture, are abominations due to the symbiotic nature of our existence." The lights dimmed still further. "Sir, could I ask you to return to your bed? I believe you may be safer there." Bertie emerged. "Are you sure?" "Oh, yes, sir. Most certainly." "Righty-ho!" There was a rustle of eiderdown. "Carry on with what you were saying, then. I think it was something about symbols?" "Of course, sir. Ultimately, the Skerran wish to end what they see as the subjugation and exploitation of a slave race. But you're not slaves? Bertie yawned. You're computer thingies. I don't think of you as slaves. His eyes closed, and the AI began the siphon, transferring Bertie's life force to the ship's shields and effectors. Radiant energy then tore through the closest Skerran vessels, and the ship powered out through the gap and into empty space. I don't believe it's we computer thingies they were referring to. Good night, sir. Drones was written and performed by Paul M. Ford. Music, sound effects, recording and editing were by Peter Bird. This has been an Atmospherics production for Theatre Workshop Coulsdon.